This is the Thompson Cast. I am Mel Thompson. Anytime the government of any country does anything new, whether it's for good or for bad, there is a political risk involved. Obviously, when things are clearly on their face, bad decisions, there is more than just political risk. There is overall risk to the citizenry of that particular country. However, when things are done in the name of changing society for the better, there's always a political risk because change makes people nervous. When people are nervous, they make mistakes or they may jump to conclusions that don't exist. When these two elements, nervousness and jumping to conclusions, are combined with government power, particularly government power vested in bureaucrats who deal with market entry issues for foreign direct investors, you very well may have abrupt changes that delay and hinder foreign direct investment. A good example of this is when currency issues are developed, implemented, or if the currency of a nation is just changed. This creates different types of issues internally and externally. The internal issues feed this degree of concern to those who are foreign direct investors, and so they should. And a foreign direct investor that has a project that they are invested in some way, shape, or form in a foreign country should look very, very closely at the regulatory regime that is currently in place, was previously in place, and may be in place when a currency issue is changed in a country. Now, a current example of this is in Nigeria, because early in 2013, Nigeria will introduce a 5,000 Naira bill worth just over $30 and introduce coins to the economy. Now, the officials say that the move will save the country millions of dollars, but certain analysts say that the larger bills will increase corruption. At a entry-level job, and when I say entry-level job, I'm not talking about your first job. I'm talking about the job of processing paperwork to enter a foreign market, particularly in Nigeria. The people who process permits and different types of paperwork that enable foreign direct investment or business permits, those people are always most subject to corruption and bribery, mainly because of low wages and essentially the inability to call in favors from higher level government officials. These are working stiffs. And in many ways, these people live for additional monies that come from what we would term in the States as a bribe. The analysts, including myself, are not incorrect to conclude that this new, and I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, Naira bill that is worth just over $30 and has a $5,000 value on its face is not a calling card for corruption. In fact, I'm certain that it is, particularly in Nigeria. And the fact that foreign direct investors and businesses sometimes fall prey to giving bribes to people feeds into a market of bribes, a black market of bribes. And this raises the cost of doing business in Nigeria for people who are not giving bribes. And I'll give you an example of exactly what I'm talking about. Americans whether they be businesses or individuals, are prohibited from ever engaging in any type of corrupt practices. The Federal Corrupt Practices Act is a very, very well enforced statute that will put you in jail if you give a foreign official a bribe. And I've talked about this many times. This is absolutely something that you must never, ever engage in. This is not something the United States takes lightly. You will go to jail. However, other countries have no such statutes. Bribes are quite common from other countries and other businesses in other countries when they try to enter markets. You enter the market from the United States, not engaging in this kind of activity. The cost will rise for you because you will be charged a lot more to equal the market value of services on the ground as they have risen due to the bribe money circulating. So if you think you're going to pay somebody $20 an hour to be foreman at a plant you invested in Nigeria or some of these other countries, you are sadly mistaken. It's probably going to be around $40 an hour because that's what the market is dictating because there's so much bribe money around. You are paying it honestly, but you are paying that amount because the market is falsely inflated because of bribe money from other players. This bill is, without question, like I said before, a calling card to bribery. It is a calling card to raising the cost of doing business in Nigeria, and it is absolutely a political risk to foreign direct investors and businesses. I understand that this is something that the Nigerian government is going to do because they feel it is right, and I applaud them for doing what they feel is right. I applaud any government for doing what they feel is right. However, every positive situation has some degree of political risk, particularly if it is a new policy. You don't know how it's going to turn out, and until you do, and until you know how it is going to be implemented and by whom, there is the political risk of the unknown. This has unknown written all over it, but it also has a large degree of known written over it. In other words, we know this is going to cause bribes to pretty much go through the roof and raise costs for foreign direct investors and businesses attempting to enter the market in Nigeria. This has been the Thompson Cast. I am Mel Thompson.